Emeka and Tunde were two close Nigerian friends who had known each other since childhood. They studied together, played together, and always dreamed of doing something big in life. As they grew older, their friendship remained strong, and both believed that trust was the foundation of their bond. They often said to each other, "One day, we will build a company together and make our families proud." After finishing their education, they decided to bring their dream into reality. Both were passionate about business and wanted to create something that could stand in the market. With combined savings and a small loan, Emeka and Tunde opened their own company. They registered it legally and agreed to divide everything equally, 50% of the shares for Emeka and 50% for Tunde. From the very beginning, the business looked promising. Emeka, who was good with numbers, took charge of finance and accounts. Tunde, who had strong leadership qualities, managed the operations, workers, and daily tasks. Their teamwork brought balance, and soon their company started making profits. Friends and family admired them for turning an idea into success. The two partners celebrated every achievement together. They would often sit late at night, discussing new plans, ideas for expansion, and ways to improve their company. Tunde fully trusted Emeka, and Emeka pretended to value Tunde just as much. At that stage, everything seemed perfect, and both of them felt that the future of their company was bright. However, behind the smiles and the handshakes, a seed of greed was slowly growing inside Emeka. He wanted more than just half. He wanted complete control and the entire company under his name. While Tunde was focused on honesty and hard work, Emeka secretly started thinking of ways to push his best friend out of the business. This was the beginning of a story where friendship and trust would be tested against greed and betrayal. In the first 2 years, Emeka and Tunde's company began to grow quickly. Their hard work and smart ideas paid off. They started with only a small office and a few employees, but soon they were able to hire more staff, move into a bigger building, and attract bigger clients. The people around them admired their courage and determination. Emeka was very skilled in finance. He knew how to manage money, deal with banks, and make sure the accounts looked strong. He prepared reports, handled profits, and carefully planned investments. Tunde, on the other hand, had a natural ability to lead people. Workers respected him because he was fair, kind, and disciplined. He made sure projects were finished on time, customers were satisfied, and everyone felt motivated. Together, they formed a perfect balance. Emeka controlled the numbers, and Tunde controlled the operations. Their teamwork brought harmony to the business. It was as if both of them were two hands of the same body, working together, moving forward, and building something valuable. With this success, their friendship became even stronger. They often celebrated their wins together. Whenever they signed a big deal, they would take their families out for dinner. Whenever the company hit a target, they would organize small parties for the employees. Everyone saw them not just as business partners, but as brothers who were chasing the same dream. But as the company grew, money also increased. Profits became larger, clients became richer, and the business world started recognizing their company as a rising star. Tunde believed that this success was only the beginning, and he felt grateful to have a loyal partner like Emeka. Yet, deep inside Emeka's heart, greed was quietly rising. Instead of feeling satisfied, he felt jealous. He wanted to be the only one praised, the only one in control. While Tunde looked at their success with happiness, Emeka secretly began to see it as an opportunity to take everything for himself. The road ahead looked bright, but shadows of betrayal were slowly forming behind the light. As time passed, the company gained more recognition in the market. Their brand name was being talked about in business circles, and new opportunities kept knocking on their door. For Tunde, this was a dream come true. He felt proud of what he and Emeka had built together. He often thanked Emeka for being such a trustworthy and hardworking partner. But Emeka did not feel the same. Instead of joy, a dark feeling grew inside him. He began comparing himself to Tunde in every situation. Whenever clients praised Tunde for his leadership, Emeka felt ignored. Whenever employees admired Tunde's management skills, Emeka felt unimportant. Even when newspapers published articles about their success and mentioned both of their names, Emeka secretly wished his own name stood alone. This jealousy turned into greed. Emeka wanted not just half of the company, but the entire company. In his mind, he believed he deserved more because he handled the money. He told himself that Tunde was only good at talking to people, while he was the real brain behind the growth. Slowly, these thoughts poisoned his heart and blinded him to the truth of their teamwork. Tunde, however, had no idea about these hidden feelings. He trusted Emeka with everything. He gave him full control over the finances and never questioned his reports. Tunde was busy planning new projects, attending meetings, and focusing on growth, while Emeka quietly built a secret plan. At home, Emeka began to change. He no longer enjoyed spending time with Tunde like before. He avoided friendly talks, ignored his partner's ideas, and acted cold during celebrations. Tunde thought Emeka was just tired from work, but in reality, Emeka was feeding his jealousy day by day. This was the turning point in their journey. The friendship that once looked unbreakable was now standing on weak ground. Emeka's greed had taken root, and betrayal was only a matter of time. Emeka's jealousy soon turned into action. He no longer wanted to just dream of taking over the company, he wanted to make it real. Because he was in charge of finance, he had access to all the accounts, reports, and contracts. Tunde trusted him completely, so no one suspected anything. Emeka began using this trust to create hidden problems. At first, he started by misreporting the numbers. He would change the accounts to show false expenses. Profits looked smaller than they really were. Whenever Tunde asked why the income was not as high as expected, Emeka gave quick excuses. The market is down or clients delayed payments. Tunde believed him, never imagining his partner would lie. Then, Emeka began making secret deals without informing Tunde. He rejected profitable opportunities and signed contracts that brought losses. He even hired people who were not qualified, just to weaken operations. Slowly, the company's strong foundation began to shake. Tunde was confused. He worked harder than ever, but the results were disappointing. Employees also felt something was wrong. They saw mistakes in finance, but were too scared to question Emeka, who controlled the accounts. One night, Tunde sat with Emeka and said, "Brother, I don't understand. We are working so hard, but our profits are falling. What's happening?" Emeka simply smiled and said, "Don't worry. It's just temporary. We will recover soon." Tunde believed him again, never suspecting that his own partner was the reason behind the downfall. As months passed, the company's reputation weakened. Clients stopped trusting them, investors pulled away, and staff morale dropped. The once rising company was now struggling. Tunde felt helpless, but he still hoped Emeka would fix things. But Emeka had no intention of fixing anything. His plan was working perfectly. The more the company suffered, the weaker Tunde became. And the weaker Tunde became, the easier it would be for Emeka to trap him and take full control. The betrayal was now in full motion, hidden behind fake smiles and false promises. As the company kept losing money, Tunde became more worried each day. He stayed up late at night, thinking about how to save their business. He worked harder, met more clients, and tried to bring in new projects, but the damage was already done. Unknown to him, the real cause of the downfall was sitting right beside him, his own partner, Emeka. Emeka, on the other hand, acted like nothing was wrong. He pretended to care about the company, but secretly he was happy to see Tunde struggling. Every loss, every failed deal, and every mistake made Tunde weaker, while Emeka's plan grew stronger. One day, Emeka called a meeting with Tunde. He showed him fake financial reports that painted a very dark picture. "Tunde," he said with a serious face, "the company is drowning. If we don't act fast, we will lose everything. The only way to keep it alive is to sell some of our shares. At least then, we can cover the debts." Tunde, desperate and confused, agreed. He didn't want to lose the business they built with so much effort. Trusting Emeka, he sold part of his shares to a buyer that Emeka had arranged. What Tunde didn't know was that the buyer was secretly connected to Emeka. Step by step, this plan worked. Whenever more losses appeared, Emeka suggested the same solution: sell more shares. And each time, Tunde listened, thinking it was the only way out. Slowly, his ownership in the company reduced, while Emeka gained more control. Tunde's family noticed his stress. They told him to be careful, but he refused to doubt Emeka. "He is my brother, he will never cheat me," Tunde always said. But the truth was bitter. Emeka had set a perfect trap. By using fake numbers and lies, he was pushing Tunde out of his own company. And Tunde, blinded by trust, was falling straight into it. The stage was now set for the final takeover. Month after month, the situation grew worse for Tunde. His shareholding, which once stood proudly at 50%, had now shrunk to almost nothing. Each time there was a financial crisis, Emeka convinced him to sell more shares. And each time, Tunde believed it was for the survival of the company. Finally, one morning, Tunde walked into the office and found out the shocking truth. The company that he had dreamed of, worked for, and built with his own hands no longer belonged to him. His name was no longer on the list of majority owners. Emeka now held almost all the shares. The little that remained with Tunde was worthless compared to the massive control Emeka had gained. Confused, Tunde confronted Emeka. "Brother, how did this happen? Why do I own so little now?" His voice was filled with pain. Emeka smiled coldly. "Business is business, Tunde. You trusted me, but trust does not pay bills. I made smart moves, and now the company belongs to me." Those words cut Tunde's heart like a knife. He finally understood that the financial problems, the fake reports, the constant pressure to sell shares, everything had been Emeka's plan from the beginning. His closest friend had been the one to betray him. The employees, who once admired both men, were shocked too. Some pitied Tunde, but they were powerless. Emeka was now their only boss. He acted proud, showing off his new power, as if the company had always been his. Tunde, broken and humiliated, had no choice but to walk away. His years of hard work were stolen in front of his eyes. His dream had turned into a nightmare. Emeka, meanwhile, stood tall, the sole owner of the company. He had achieved what he wanted, complete control. But he had lost something far greater: his friendship, his honor, and his soul. After losing everything, Tunde walked away with nothing but pain in his heart. The betrayal by his closest friend was harder to bear than the loss of money. He sat alone in his small home, remembering the long nights he and Emeka once spent planning their future. All those dreams were gone, destroyed by greed. At first, Tunde felt ashamed. He blamed himself for trusting too much, for not questioning the numbers, and for giving Emeka complete control. But over time, he realized something important. He was guilty only of being honest. The real fault was not his, but Emeka's, who had chosen betrayal over brotherhood. Meanwhile, Emeka became the full owner of the company. He controlled the board, the staff, and the profits. From the outside, people thought he was successful. But deep inside, he was never at peace. His employees no longer respected him. They worked only for their salaries, not out of loyalty. Clients who once admired the partnership began to doubt the company's ethics. Slowly, the name that was once respected started losing its shine. Emeka had money, but he had no one to celebrate with. He had power, but no trust. He had a company, but no friend by his side. The emptiness grew heavier with each passing day. Tunde, on the other hand, decided to rebuild his life. Though he had lost the company, he had not lost his skills, his honesty, and his faith. With time, he started a small consultancy. People who knew his character trusted him again. Step by step, he began to rise from the ashes. The story ends with a bitter truth: greed destroys, but honesty survives. Business without trust is like a house built on sand. It will eventually collapse. Friendship should never be mixed with betrayal, Because once trust is broken, it can never be repaired. The lesson is clear. In life and business, protect your heart from greed and never let betrayal take away your humanity. This story of Emeka and Tunde is not just about two friends, it is a reminder for everyone. Business can bring money, power, and respect, but it can also bring out greed and betrayal. Trust is like glass. Once it is broken, it can never be the same again. Emeka gained the company, but he lost his honor, his peace, and the loyalty of people around him. Tunde lost his shares, but he kept his dignity, his honesty, and his hope. In the end, it was clear who the real loser was. The lesson is simple. Never allow greed to guide your decisions, and never take blind trust for granted. In life and in business, always stay alert, stay fair, and stay true. If you enjoyed this story, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories about life, friendship, betrayal, and lessons that inspire us all.